Welcome to the Build Business Acumen podcast, where we deliver practical knowledge and powerful guidance. Here is your futuristic host, Nathaniel Skula.
Wow. Well, I am very privileged today to be joined by Nelly Shein. Nelly Shein is an author, a business journalist, and an ex-media CEO. And we've been working together in a professional capacity since, let me see, must be 5 years. And Nelly's actually the person who helped me to launch the Build Business Acumen in the first place. But we took a bit of a wrong turn. We were gonna create a training business. In fact, it was going to be a learning platform that we were going to create. But instead, we just had a change of heart, and Nelly basically went one way, I went the other. But recently we started working together again, and we've authored a number of books, and it's been quite a journey, really, hasn't it, Nelly, the past 4 years?
Absolutely. It has been so interesting. And when you asked me if I wanted to come on board today, I was actually thinking about everything that has happened in our life since that time. And I could actually I wasn't even sure if I remembered everything. So I thought, no, I will actually ask Nat to go through everything that he has done since we met up last time.
Well, it's pretty insane, really. I mean, you know, before I launched the Build Business Acumen podcast, which is the first of, I think, 6 or 7 different podcast shows that I've built since then. And at that time, you and I were doing quite a number of interviews, talking about how you'd interviewed the Dalai Lama and the Pope and President Clinton and all these amazing people. And we were doing a number of live videos at the time, just to really experiment with YouTube and stuff. And then one day I heard these words in my head telling me to start a podcast show. And at first I didn't really do anything. And then I was like, oh, actually, I have that domain name, Build Business Acumen. Yeah, maybe I'll just turn that into a podcast. So I turned that into a podcast. I put my feet up and I was like, oh, that's a relief. I've got a podcast show. And then I heard these words again saying, you must work harder. And I was like, what? That sounds like my dad. Like, who is that? And then literally, cut a long story short, after a few words from above, I basically launched this show, worked really hard, and I launched multiple episodes with full transcriptions of 6 to 10,000 words. And back then you didn't really have you had some tools, but they weren't very good, and it was pretty tough, to be honest. And I did that in 1 week. I did 6 episodes in the run up to 2018 Christmas. And then I heard these words again saying, no, you can't have 2 weeks, 3 weeks off. You need to work harder, and you can have 3 days off, and you need to do the same thing again in January. So I returned to work in January 2019. And then I basically did exactly the same. 6 episodes, one episode after another. And on the Wednesday, I was approached by Bookboon, which is the world's largest ebook publishing firm, which you and I have been writing books for. And they approached me and they said, we'd like you to record a series of expert talks for us. And that's what I did. And ever since then, the connections that I made since then, the people that I've interviewed are insane. And it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't helped me to write all of the wording for this platform that we didn't launch, right? And since then, I've gone on to interview Stanley Tucci, top sportsmen, the host of the Golden Globes, politicians, top business leaders. And now I'm working on a series with Stephen J. Manning, who built a $1 billion marketing business. And I'm working on those. Right now, we are launching that under the Positive Personal Power brand. And you can find that on all major podcasting channels. And those are going to be 10 episodes where we basically dig into the pillars of success and the philosophies of life. And it's just, the whole thing has kind of blown my mind. Like, just to go from having a conversation with you about a learning platform to creating a website, coming up with the wording, and then making, I've moved. I've been, since then I went to let me see, Los Angeles. I went to see my sister. Oracle flew me to San Francisco to go to an event as a VIP influencer. Like the stuff that happened is insane. Like it's totally insane. And I moved to Eastern Europe, right? Like it's from England. Like it's totally insane to go through. So excuse me, rambling on a bit there, Nelly.
No, I was going to say it's absolutely okay for you to rambling on, because I can actually hear your joy in your voice when you are sharing your journey.
I think it's probably doing 150 miles an hour on the Autobahn is probably a lot to do with that joy, to be fair. But, you know, I mean, you have done a lot of different things as well. Like what's happened to you in the last 4 years, Nelly, since we started this?
I mean, as you mentioned, we have written actually 5 books together during that time. I felt that I wanted to study again, so I went back to university, and I've studied cognitive behavioral therapy, which actually sits very well together with my coaching of CEOs, because it turned out when you are talking to people in that capacity on those positions, it's not only the business, and often there are underlying reasons. Maybe they have some situations at home and so on and so forth. And what is happening that you can't bring that to your executive board, that your wife, your husband has been unfaithful, whatever. You have to put that in a certain box. That box is just going to burst if it's not taken care of. So that's what I felt. And now when I have studied that together with my business and economy experience and knowledge, it sits very, very well together, because I can go from one end over to the other and see where are the holes.
Absolutely. It's actually incredible. And working with you on these books has literally been incredible. And I mean, we did a whole series on resilience to talk about the book that we actually wrote. And if you want to find that, you can find our books. If you go to Book Boon, look for Book Boon Learning, and you can find us on there. And you know, it's absolutely been incredible to navigate uncertainty with someone such as yourself. Has been amazing. And you know, I've been privileged to also launch International Imposter Syndrome Awareness Day, which I launched that with Kim Adele Randall, who I've also been working with the last couple of years, and a lady called Lisa Ventura, and that is incredible. The people are they're really struggling with imposter syndrome and their confidence, and it's all back to navigating uncertainty. It all comes back to navigating uncertainty for people, because if you knew what was coming up next, you wouldn't worry that you were going to be an imposter. But you can never ever see around the next corner, and this is the biggest challenge that I've had the last 4 or 5, even 12, 13, 14 years. And all I can say is, you know, Abraham Lincoln recommended people sharpen the axe, right? And you know what? Sharpening the axe is what everybody has to do. If you can't sharpen that axe, you're not learning new things, building your knowledge around skills that you know are going to be important for you, or stuff you're interested in. Life is going to be very, very tough for you as the next level of disruption appears. And I don't like that word, but there isn't another word for it, really, in my opinion.
I'm following you completely. And what I found when talking to yourself and a lot of other leaders, I have found that one of the most difficult challenges that is around, because we're having so many changes in society, there's also this urge that we need to change, we need to protect, we need to do this, and then go from A to Z every day and changing your mind. That is so dangerous, because you're ending up in no man's land. So when you have made your decision what you're going to do, stick to it. Even though it looks like hell, stick to it. You will be out on the fire on the other side.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, I interviewed Michael Tobin. He was my first podcast that I actually put on the Build Business Acumen podcast. And he basically grew a business, and I believe it was sold for 2.8 billion US dollars, the business that he built. And what he says, which is where I'm going to finish, is that, everybody can be Ubered, right? But the thing is, if you focus on that vision of what you want to achieve, doesn't matter if you're slightly Ubered and you go along the wrong route. But if you keep your eyes fixed on that vision, you will get there. And I'm still focused on the vision that I had when I started this show back then, which is hugely exciting. And we talk about that every day. We talk about it with all our business partners. And you know what? It's been absolute pleasure working with you, Nelly. And I'm so grateful for everyone that supports me and who supported us and our podcast show and our endeavors. And big shout out to the Book Boon team as well. We love you guys over there. They were just bought out by the Access Group, and that opens up our content to 50,000 more businesses. So we're kind of happy about that. So thank you so much.
And thank you, Nat.
Thanks so much for listening. Please subscribe, and wherever you prefer, share with your friends. And if you enjoyed the show, drop us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen.